Hello, my Christian friends. I am Dr. Donald Jones, and welcome to 10 Minutes of Counseling from the Bible. Some time ago, I recorded and posted a series of videos on relationships, which eventually grew into two major books. The second book deals with seeking peace through reconciliation and explains how to manage conflict and differences in relationships. The title of the book is Managing Anger, Conflicts, and Differences in Relationships with a Workbook Companion for Personal Study. The biblical content has been expanded beyond the videos with the addition of a scriptural illustration and a modern example from my counseling practice. At the end of each chapter is a personal prayer that can be utilized. For group study, I have divided the books into two abridged editions with workbook companions. These are for those who want a 4 to 5 week study for each book. There is an instructor's manual that accompanies the group studies. This contains the full text, additional notes, the workbook questions, and their suggested answers. Finally, there is a shorter version for a quick read, which I call a book short. This is entitled Restore, Managing Anger and Conflicts and Differences in Relationships. I will put the link to these books in the description below. This is my first video in the series, which became chapter 1 in my book entitled Put Away Anger. It deals with the anger that arises in relationships and how to eliminate it. Watch till the end for a free ebook on handling anger in yourself or others. May the Lord give you understanding as you view this video. Hello? Hey Dad, what's up? What do you mean you can't make Natalie's recital tonight? She's your only granddaughter. You missed every baseball game and drama play I've ever had. You think you could maybe make this? Yeah, I understand. Well, you know what? I don't. This time I'm not going to understand. I have spent my whole life understanding with all your excuses. I could have written a book listing all of them. You know what? There's been so many over the years. We are done. You will never come to another event that involves Natalie. In fact, you will be lucky if you ever see her again, or me for that matter. Goodbye. Oh, hello. You caught me on the phone with my father. You see, he never had time for me and now has no time for my daughter. It's over between us and I'm finished. I'm tired of getting my hopes up and being disappointed again. I don't want my daughter to have to go through the same. Has this ever happened to you? Has someone close to you has hurt you over and over and you are filled with bitterness? Even to such a point that you essentially end the relationship? Perhaps it's happening to you right now. My name is Dr. Donald Jones, and welcome to 10 Minutes of Counseling from the Bible. Though this scenario is a made-up story, it illustrates the fact that sometimes someone transgresses us and we aren't able to overcome it. We become filled with bitterness and resentment to the point we avoid them or terminate the relationship altogether. Unfortunately, though it is easy to say to people, "I'm done with you," it has dire consequences for us, them, those around us, and even God Himself. God has a blueprint for how He wants His children to handle relationships on His earth. They are always to be reconciled. We're in the middle of a series on healing relationships through forgiveness. Jesus tells us in Matthew 5:18 that we are to reconcile relationships with those who have something against us or we have something against them. We have to go to them and deal with it. If we have a broken relationship with our spouse or partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, child, parent, friend, neighbor, co-worker, acquaintance, we must go to them and reconcile the relationship through forgiveness. In the past, we have looked at reconciling with God, then ourselves, the person we have wronged, and then us as the person wronged. Now we arrive at some overall principles that guide the entire process of reconciliation through forgiveness. Today we look at principle number 15. If we refuse to reconcile, we must suffer the adverse consequences. One of the key overarching principles in the Scripture is to be at peace with people. In Hebrews 12:14, the inspired writer states, Follow after peace with all men. In 1 Thessalonians 5:13, Paul reiterates the same exhortation when he says, be at peace among yourselves. Why? First of all, because God is a God of peace. How do we find this peace in our relationships through reconciliation when we don't want to forgive? We have spent several sessions speaking about the various reasons why we are to forgive others and reconcile our relationships. Now we come to the adverse consequences if we will not seek the peace God desires us to have with everyone, believer or unbeliever. 1. If we do not forgive and reconcile, we will no longer act like God our Father. Peter says in 1 Peter 1:15-16 that we are to be holy as our Father is holy in all our behavior. The Greek word translated holy means to be set apart. Our behavior should be set apart from the world's. They want to carry grudges, be bitter, harbor anger, ignore their enemies, and cut people off from their lives. So does the devil and our flesh. Yet God is set apart from these influences. Instead, He desires peace through reconciliation. And if we will not be at peace as He is at peace, He will train us to do it as His children. Isn't that what Hebrews 12:4-11 states? That God will discipline His children like a loving father does, and it will yield the peaceful fruit of righteousness. Does a father spend a lot of time teaching his kids to get along and work things out between and among themselves? Second, it has adverse consequences to others. The primary reason people do not want to forgive is due to anger and bitterness. This anger or bitterness will not only destroy the relationship with those we won't forgive, but will have consequences toward ourselves also. In Psalm 37, David writes in verse 1, do not fret, that means become furious or angry, because of evildoers. In verse 8 he continues, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Don't fret, it leads only to evil doing. The first word is the usual word for anger. The second is quick-tempered anger, and the third is furious rage. All of these, David says, leads to evil doing. Nothing ever comes out of anger and bitterness that is good, only evil. Third, it has adverse reactions within ourselves. Anger and bitterness will eat us up inside. Proverbs 30:33 speaks of churning anger like one churns butter, which makes whatever happened to cause the anger bigger and bigger in our minds until it takes over our lives, our marriage, and relationships with family, friends, and those at work. In Hosea 7:6, the prophet speaks of evil men devising plans in their anger. This is what it says. For they have prepared their heart like an oven while they lie in wait. Anger smolders all the night. In the morning, it burns as a flaming fire. Our lives become nothing but sour, bitter, angry attitudes without peace, smoldering all day and all night. Or our holidays, marriage ceremonies, birthday celebrations are filled with tension and stress on all involved because we can't get along with a family member who will always be there. Fourth, it has adverse reactions upon innocent individuals who like or love the person whom we despise and hate. This reluctance to reconcile occurs quite often in our families, as in my opening illustration. No matter how angry we get with a member of our family, how disgusted we feel, or how deeply hurt we are, they are still and will always be on this earth a family member. When we discard a mother, we are also discarding our child's grandmother and their child's great-grandmother. We are eliminating our niece and nephew's aunt. We are producing tensions that will appear at every birthday party, wedding, birth of a child, and every other special occasion that will come. When we divorce, the mother or father of our children will not simply disappear, with the smashing of a gavel by a judge, like the waving of a magic wand. They will always be around. We will interact with them the rest of our lives. If we are angry and bitter, it puts a horrible burden upon the children at every event they have. Of course, we never think of that, because we are thinking of ourselves, our feelings, and our hurt. Yet inside us are many generations who may suffer for our angry, bitter choices. What about our friends? They must choose or feel the uncomfortable tension of seeing us individually, while the other rants and raves about how angry they are. All of this anger and bitterness, as we have seen, has to be let go in the process of forgiveness. We must desire peace and pursue it. Listen to 1 Peter 3:11. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace. 2 Timothy 2:22 declares, flee from youthful lusts, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. So we need to desire it and pursue it. If we don't follow after peace through the reconciliation process, we need to watch out for bitterness to take root and spring forth into full anger and rage. So if we have been bitter and angry against someone, even for many years, including a spouse or mother or father, I have good news. The reconciliation process found in Matthew 5:18 has no statute of limitations. Jesus did not say within a week or a month. So go. Once you are ready, go. The Old Testament provides an enlightening example of bitterness, anger, and grudge-bearing that led eventually to violence between two half-brothers and a sister. In 2 Samuel 13 is the story of Absalom, Amnon, and Tamar. David had several wives who had children. One son of David, whose name was Absalom, had a beautiful blood sister named Tamar. Amnon, one of Absalom's half-brothers, fell in love with her. Amnon was so in love and lust with her that he became so frustrated he made himself ill. He wanted to sleep with her, but she was a proper girl. Amnon had a sneaky, crafty, conniving friend who decided to help him in his lustful frustration. His name was Jonadab, Absalom's cousin. He suggested that this son of the king pretend to be ill, and when his father David came to visit him, he should ask that Tamar might bring him some food to eat. Perhaps she could even prepare it right in front of him so he might watch. Then she could serve him and comfort him in his affliction. David, who should have been more discerning, bought the whole act and summoned Tamar. He asked her to make some cakes in Amnon's presence and feed her brother in his weakened state. She did not protest because she trusted her half-brother to respect her virginity. Amnon feigned sickness, and Tamar came to wait on him. So Tamar traveled to Amnon's house, then in front of him took the dough, kneaded it, and made cakes for him. I am sure Amnon watched her cook and burned with desire for her. Finally, when the whole process was over, she set the cakes before him, innocently expecting him to eat. Then the real drama began. Immediately Amnon refused to eat the food and set everyone out of the house. He told her to bring the food into the bedroom where he could lie down and eat from her hand. When she reached over to him with the cake, he grabbed her hand and demanded, "My sister, come, lie with me." This is how perverted he was. He addressed her as a sibling rather than as a woman. Tamar refused and begged him not to violate her. However, as lust filled his heart and body, he refused to wait. Since he was much stronger than her, he forced himself on her and violated her. Immediately, his lustful, loving feelings turned to disgust and hate for her. His hate was even greater than his love had been for her. When he was done with her, he screamed at her to get out. He was such a hypocrite that though he was the one who violated her against her will, he now saw her as defiled and dirty. When she refused to leave, he had several of his servants throw her out and lock the door. How humiliating. When she left, she went right into the vengeful arms of her brother. Absalom asked her to remain silent because he would handle it his own way. So Tamar remained in Absalom's house and never married. What a tragedy. But the story goes on. Eventually her father, King David, heard about what happened. The scriptures indicate that he got angry, but that's all. There was no fatherly discipline or legal ramifications for the rape. Nothing. After this, Absalom hated his half-brother and did not speak to him for 2 years. 2 years. Absalom let the bitterness well up inside him until finally the moment of revenge came. It was the time of year when the sheep were sheared and the owners of the sheep would have a great feast. So Absalom invited all of his half-brothers to a sheep shearing feast. After the party started, Amnon got drunk and Absalom and his servants murdered him. The other brothers immediately fled. Absalom headed to Talmiah, the son of Ammihud, his maternal grandfather, who was king of Geshur. He needed the protection of his father-in-law, because according to Numbers 35:21, Absalom deserved the death penalty for premeditated murder. As a result, he needed the protection of a king and an army. Later, Absalom headed to Jerusalem to take the very kingdom of his father away from him. Amnon did do a despicable deed and did deserve the full weight of the law. But Absalom was not the law. Absalom would not forgive him, but he let his jealousy and anger churn for 2 years, bearing the grudge and plotting revenge. What a sad state. The ultimate result was the destruction of the relationship among these 3 siblings and the tearing apart of David's family. The point is, we need to reconcile our relationships with others and not allow the flesh to become angry and bitter, which causes multiple problems for ourselves and the other person. This is Dr. Donald Jones. May the Lord bless you as you follow him. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell, I will send you a free ebook. It's called Taming the Temper: How to Manage the Raging Fire Within Us and Preserve Our Relationships. It describes in detail the biblical steps to eliminate our anger or deal with the anger of others towards us. This is the full book, not just a 3-page pamphlet that others offer. These are principles that I have actually taught my couples in my counseling practice. Once you have subscribed and hit the bell, send me an email at donjonesphd, free ebook @yahoo.com. You will not be put on anyone else's mailing list, and I do not send out newsletters or solicit funds. This is Dr. Donald Jones. Please support me by taking the actions on my left. Goodbye, my friends, and God bless you.